Recently, I was invited to give a workshop on the topic of humility being at the heart of the permanent diaconate. And while it is diaconate specific, I think that this topic could apply to all of us, laity and ordained, in both church ministry and in everyday life. And as I was struggling for an opening biblical quote for my workshop, I decided to take a break and to look at the scriptures for this week in preparation for my homily. And I came to the last line of today's gospel from Matthew. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, but whoever humbles himself will be exalted. It inspired the opening slide for my workshop presentation. As I've reflected on this passage, both for the workshop and for my homily today, my dad comes to mind. You see, he too was a deacon for 27 years, serving in a small rural diocese in northern Connecticut. At his wake service, many different people came up to me with stories about what he had done for them. My dad kept all of them a secret. He never told my mom, he never told me, or others, or anyone else. He never wanted the light to shine on him. I remember one young lady who told me the story about when she was in the hospital for emergency surgery. And my dad came to visit her and asked what he could do for her. And she had one simple request, to please bring her a New York Times newspaper. Well, as you can imagine, on a Sunday afternoon in rural Connecticut, this simple request was a major undertaking. My dad had to drive from store to store to store for an hour and a half to finally get this newspaper for this young lady. My dad, he had a huge impact on other lives and the small little things that he did for them. In our gospel today, Jesus is warning his disciples and others about the sins of pride and vanity as exhibited by the scribes and the Pharisees. You see, they were all focused on ensuring all the 613 laws of Moses were enforced. And this created a heavy, legalistic burden for all to follow. Those laws, they were so burdensome, not even the scribes and the Pharisees could faithfully keep them. And they didn't practice what they preached and commanded the people to do. Nor did they do anything to alleviate those burdens. Rather, they were more concerned about themselves and exalting their good deeds for everyone to see and admire. You know, I find this gospel passage quite challenging. Although it was written 2,000 years ago, I think it is still relevant. Maybe it is even more so in our current times. Vatican II noted that the split between faith, which many profess, and their daily lives deserves to be counted among the more serious errors of our age. And it's certainly a reminder to me as a deacon, and I think for all of us who struggle to integrate our faith into our daily lives, to ponder, and then to live as Jesus lived. He is the model for us to imitate and to follow. St. Paul, in his letter to the Thessalonians, shows the right attitude. He and his missionaries came as servants of the gospel, giving themselves to the people they served. By practicing what they preached more powerfully than just words alone. Whether we are ordained or laity, church ministers or business professionals, single or married, young or old, each of us is invited to serve each other and humble gentleness, like Paul, who was an imitator of Christ. We preach by the way we live, using words only if necessary. The word humble has a Latin root from the word humus, which means earth. It invokes an image of earthiness, a person who is grounded, those who are simple servants and workers, someone who is solid by loving God and loving neighbor, not for show or accolades, but quietly, so that the light doesn't shine in them, but through them. Humility is the key to our faith life, and it's probably why Jesus modeled it for us. Humility allows us to realize that there is no possible way we can live the Christian life without the help of God and the help of each other. It allows us to be honest with ourselves, especially our faults and our weaknesses. Humility empowers us to serve others as imitators of Christ. Mother Teresa reminds us it is in being humble that our love becomes real, devoted, and passionate. Humility provides that rich earthly soil that, when watered by the love of God and the love of neighbor, produces good fruits. As we come forward today to receive God's gift of himself in the Eucharist, may we do so with a humble heart, so that we become what we eat, Christ for one another, preaching the gospel with a witness of our lives, using words only if necessary. I think this was my dad's final lesson to me, and may it inspire you as it did me to go forth and to serve others. God bless you.